my hair looks awful in a ponytail. I know that, because I need it to be like long enough to be like chilling down my neck and my back, but no, we don't have that. If it offends anyone that's in a ponytail, I really apologise. And also I'm trying out a new lip today, so we're going with it. We're really going with it today. Hello honeys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're just joining me now, then this is a very exciting video because you know, and if you don't know, then get to know. But basically, Storytime Sunday happens every single Sunday. So we have a story time today, which is a very good one, so make sure you buckle up, get your seatbelts on, hit the subscribe button, join my family of likes. What? Hit the like button, please. Join my family of Huns by hitting that subscribe button, because I genuinely believe we have the most loving family on the internet, so who wouldn't want to be a part of that? Without further mistakes, let's get in with the story time. So this story time comes from the last one, which was at Hollister. And yes, my ladies, my friends, my Huns, my boys, my geldems, whoever you are, I had another job at another Hollister. Yeah, and this isn't even the last of it. Basically, I moved to London and I started going to uni there. And when I moved to London, I needed a job. What job was better than Hollister? So I joined the Hollister on Regent Street, which was actually their flagship store. And I knew some of the girls and boys that were working there because they'd moved from Brighton to London and they were working at this one. So I was like, oh, amazing, like it'll be good, hopefully I'll get a job, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, when I first got there, they told me that there were 4 different positions instead of 2. So instead of just model and impact, there was model, cash, impact, and stock lead or something. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I don't even know which one to go for now. So I just put go for all of them because I was like, you know, whatever, I love my life. Anyway, luckily the manager who auditioned me, interviewed me, was a man, and he had my back, because you'll later on see that the women managers did not. No, they didn't like me. Well, there was actually just one reason pretty much that they didn't really like me, and I can't wait to tell you about that because you'll be like, what? So just wait until we get into that part. But I got the job and I was really, really buzzing. I got the job as a model. Not even gonna say it because I'm not, because look, haha, if I was a model I would look good with my hair up and I would suit this lip, which I don't. Anyway, getting into the job, I was like, I need this job, I need money. My rent was a joke, living was just a joke in London, and I know I needed another job, which goes on to my next job. But first things first, we were at Hollister. It was, you know, a good solid £7 an hour in the London one, maybe £7.50, and it was just easy. It was on Regent Street, it was chilled. Again, it was a 0-hour contract. I could pick up shifts whenever I damn well wanted to. So when I joined there, I already knew some people, someone that was really close to, some that I didn't really know, but I already knew some people, so it's fine. I felt quite cool. I felt like a cool kid, because I was like, oh hey, and they were like, how does the new girl know people? You know, I really buzzed off it. Anyway, so it was like one big family of friends, and just, it was like one big incestuous family. Everyone was kind of with each other. You would hear things like, this girl slept with him and he's sleeping with her, but he's been messing her around. And I was like, oh my God, like I've got enough drama at uni, but this was funny. And I kind of stayed out of it but basically, yeah, every weekend it would be like socials, Hollister socials, and everyone would go out at the weekends and love their lives, and you just kind of there was a big group of us which I became really close friends with. However, the girls I became close friends with, they became recruiters, so they weren't actually with me on the shop floor, but still I was close with them. They'd come back to the store and I'd see them, and actually I really loved those girls and I got so much respect for them, because when I was in hospital they were actually some of the only people that came to see me, and we formed a friendship very tight and closely over you know, a summer period. So anyway, just wanted to say that. Working there was one difference at this store than every other store that I've worked in for Hollister, and the models were actually real models, actually real life models, legit, like 6'4", the girls. I mean, when I mean like size 0, I'm like, they were tiny, like naturally tiny. Obviously it was naturally, you know, they were just born that way. They were all like another level. And I was like, oh my God. And I knew they were all models because when you get to know them, they're all going off for auditioning. And actually at this store in the London Regent Street one, they actually let you have an hour out. If you had a shift from 11 till 4 and you had an audition at 1, they'd let you go, which I think was really good. And that's why a lot of, sorry, I just have to readjust my position. Actually, I thought that was a really good thing, and it really helped people, like especially if they were actors or models, they could just go off and come back to the work. And actually, because they had so many staff in this big Hollister, they were okay with it. It was also joined to a Gilly Hicks, which, did anyone hear that noise? Maybe it was just me. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore it. Did anyone hear that? No, it's probably just me. So anyway, I thought it was the letters, but there's no post through. Okay, anyway, this store was actually joined to Gilly Hicks, which actually has gone into liquidation, I think. Yeah, it went into liquidation when I was working there. So, well, maybe when I just left. Anyway, ignore me. But Gilly Hicks was all girls, and it was all like underwear and like pajamas and like cute sporty wear and stuff like that. Not really cute sporty wear, I didn't really like it, but it was cute to look at, you know. You could either work in Gilly, you could work in Hollister Men's, Hollister Women's, downstairs, like you could work so many different places in this store. Let's cut to the managers. Okay, so quickly before we do that, I'll talk about wash and wear. So what wash and wear was, is you have to go to work with no uniform, which was good. You didn't have to buy the uniform, you didn't have to waste your wages buying the uniform, you didn't have to get a certain look and have to go by the style guides, which we normally always had to. Is that a kink? Shock, probably. So yeah, you didn't have to get like a style guide photo or anything like that, so it was fine, it was chilled. My hair isn't chilled though. We'd go in and it would be called wash and wear. So you'd go to your manager and report to them before your shift, and you would say, where do you want me to work? And then they would tell you. So if you're working in the front, you'd get a different outfit. If you're working downstairs, you'd get a different outfit. Men's, you'd get a different outfit. If you're working in Gilly Hicks, you'd get a Gilly outfit. On my first shift, they put me in Gilly Hicks, which they put me on the cash. They put me as a cash. And I was like, oh, that's fine, but haven't been till trained yet, so, you know, whatever. And at the time, I was like, have they thrown me in at the deep end? Like, obviously I was till trained at other Hollisters, but these Hollisters were vastly different. This Hollister was massive. It's the flagship. It's absolutely ramo, and I'd never worked in Gilly Hicks before, let alone worked on the cash in Gilly Hicks. So, worked on the tills, I mean. So anyway, this one was like, you're gonna go to Gilly? And she was like, try and get into a size 3. And I was like, so a size 3 is a size 8, but at the time I was ill. This was the start of my stomach condition, and I was a 10. Not that I have to justify that, like, what? I was a size 10. Anyway, even if I was a size 18, it doesn't matter. Like, it's irrelevant. Your size doesn't define you. Like, it was ridiculous, and they were making me feel as if I was a lot bigger than I actually was, but not even that, like, judging me for my size. And I was like, I always wear a size 5 in jeans. So anyway, I went down to wash and wear, and I was like, can I have a size 5, please? And bearing in mind, it was such a horrible environment because all of the girls around you were so tiny, like they were wearing 0s and 1s, and you were like 5, which is like, it goes 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, 5. That's how it goes. So they were all wearing double 0s and 0s, and they were like, size 5, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, we'll give you a size 3. And I was like, I don't want to be in a size 3. I don't want to be in a size 3. I don't want to be in a size 8. I could fit the 8, but I don't want to be. Like, I want to ask you my size and you give me my size. So anyway, it was my first shift, and I was like, oh my God. And these jeans, I mean, the Hollister jeans were so tight. They were so tight. Like, they weren't a size 10. They weren't even a size 8. They were like a size, I don't even know, right? I was in these jeans and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even move. You know, like when you're walking up the stairs and it's like actually like chafing your legs against each other, and it was like bulges out at the top because where the rim was, I was just not in it. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, went up to Gilly, went on the cash. It was an absolute SHIT show because it was just a joke. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. They were till training me on a Saturday, my first shift. It was absolutely ramo. I didn't know any of the stock for Gilly. I was like, what is this? My next 3 shifts, it was the female managers, and they put me on the cash. However, for the next shift, the 4th or 5th shift, I went in and it was a male manager, and his name was, let's call him Tristan. Now, Tristan was very built. Tristan was known as a good looking guy. I don't think he was good looking, but Tristan was known as a good looking guy. I was like, hi, nice to meet you. And he was like, oh, you're new. And he was very, very chatty. He was very, very chatty. And I was like, oh, just quickly going back to that, by the way, whatever size you are in the world, it does not make you a different person. Like, please don't compare yourself to anyone else and feel different. Like, it was such a vastly different environment to what I'm used to. Actually, it wasn't, because I went to stage school, I went to performing arts school. Like, I knew about people being funny about weight, but I was like, I'm not gonna have it. Like, this is a joke. Anyway, it gets worse. Let's talk about Tristan. So Tristan was like very, very flirty with me, and he was like, oh, I want you to go on the front. And I was like, I've never been put on the front. And I was like, he either fancies me, or he actually thinks I'm pretty, or he actually thinks I'm good with customers, I don't know. So I went to the front. So that's the front door, so you greet everyone that comes in, and that's quite a prestigious place to be. And this is what I want to just quickly get out there. It is so bad that that environment really taints your brain and the way you think, because actually, who cares about being front? But you feel like when you're being put down by these women managers because of your size, and it was very subtle how they did it, but they would always be like, are you gonna get into that outfit? and you're like, I will get in. Even if I have to vacuum myself in, even if I have to sit in a bath with these jeans, I'm getting in, you know? This guy made me feel a bit more like, oh, I'm actually pretty. And I was a very insecure 19, 20-year-old, and I felt like I needed the validation of everyone else to make me feel good about myself. And especially as I was getting sick with my stomach, I felt bloated all the time, I just felt lethargic, I felt rubbish. So anyway, got put on the front, fine, fine, fine. There was this woman and she came from America, and she came around, you know, to sort of look at the store. I think she was like a district manager or something, I don't know. She came up on the second shift of mine where I was standing at the front, and I'll do her accent. She was like, hi, I don't actually know your name, but what are you doing here? That was a really bad American accent, let's just not talk about it. And I was like, I've been put at the front. This is my room, this is the room I'm looking after. And she was like, no, it's not. I was like, yes, it is. So then she called the girl manager over, one of the female managers, and bearing in mind there was 3 or 4 female managers there, not one of them were nice. Not one of them were nice, not one of them. So I'll just call them female managers. And she came over and she was like, I'm not even gonna give them a name because they were horrible. You know, I'm not even gonna give them a name. So then she came over and she was like, yeah, we need to move you, Imogen. Like, we need to move you. Can you go downstairs to wash and wear and get changed and go up to Gilly Cash? Which is like at the back, where you just know that they're looking at me thinking, I'm not attractive enough to be at the front, I'm not skinny enough to be at the front, and you just felt bad. And if I was to talk to someone now, I'd be like, oh my goodness, how could I have actually let them affect me? But I was at a new job, I'm new to London, I'd just come out of a relationship, I was completely in a different world mindset, and yeah, it was just not healthy. It was such an unhealthy, toxic environment. So anyway, I went downstairs and got changed, and I was like, I'm gonna use about 45 minutes of this. So I went downstairs, sat in the toilet, got changed, but then also just sat in the staff room, and then I went up to Gash because I was like, you're gonna wait for me. So anyway, I went up to Cash, and then she was like, where have you been? I was like, getting changed. She was like, it doesn't take that long. I was like, it does when it takes so long for me to get in these jeans, because obviously I'm not small enough to be at the front. And she was like, what? What? She got really defensive, and I was like, I know why I got moved. Because they literally put like the skinniest girls at the front. So I was never going to be there, except the male managers always put me at the front because they knew I was good with the customers. And I went, it's something which I will be taking up further. And she was like, oh no, Imogen, you can go to the front if you want. I was like, she knows that she could have a lawsuit on her hands, because she knows that that is actually so wrong. Let's go to Tristan. So Tristan, on my first couple of shifts, comes to speak to me, and he's like, he was honest with me as well. And this is one thing I will say to you, he actually admitted to me that the girl managers don't want me at the front because they don't think I'm brand enough, because I'm not model looking. So because I'm 5'6.5", I'm a size 8, size 10, you know, athletic dancer build, that wasn't for them. He actually told me that, and I was like, you shouldn't be telling me that. And he was like, well, I trust you. And I was like, I was like, do I trust you? And everyone was like, oh, he keeps speaking to you and he fancies you. And I was like, really? Like, what? I was like, no, because everyone went on about how amazing he was and how good looking he was. I was like, he's not gonna fancy me. Like, you know, and you're just like, no. So anyway, turns out Tristan did actually fancy me. I know, can't quite work it out now. Definitely can't. He was about 4 or 5 years older than me, but anyway, when I mean he would stand in my room with me and talk to me for about an hour. So normally you change around different rooms, he'd stay with me for the hour, and then they'd come out and be like, what are you doing, Tristan? And he'd be like he'd always get caught talking to me, and he was a manager, and he could lose his job if he was to engage in a conversation with me which was inappropriate, which had already started. He'd already kept telling me how beautiful I was, like, the girl managers can't see it but I can, and I was like, you're so sweet, you know, and you're thinking, what a nice guy. And because he was seen as very good looking, I'm like taking it as flattery. I'm like, wow. One time he was like, listen, I could lose my job for this, but you are unlike any girl I've ever spoken to, and which is all just lines, you know. But there's me like, oh, you're so sweet, you know. Acting like a little girl, but they were just lines. And he starts saying to me other things, and he's like, I'd do anything to take you home to my mum, like, you'd be the perfect person for my, you know, my mum to me. I've never been in a serious relationship. And we started talking about relationships, and I spoke about my exes, and he was talking about how he's got commitment issues, and he was telling me loads of things about how his dad was, you know, abusive to him growing up, and he had daddy issues kind of thing, and that's why he didn't ever let women in, because he felt like he would treat them the way his dad was, because his dad cheated on his mum all the time. And I was like, that's not a really great thing to say to me, Tristan. Like, you don't want to get into a relationship because you fear that you're going to be abusive and a cheat. I was like, what? So anyway, I am seeing this guy as a really open, really soft, very soft kind of man. Like not, he looked macho, but he wasn't really macho. So I was like, oh, you know, seemed like a nice guy. Nothing like my fiance. My fiance is the best man in the whole entire universe. Just wanted to put that one out there. Anyway, so then we're talking. And then this one shift, he came and left his number on a note. And it was like, don't show this to anyone, but please save my number and text me after your shift. So then he went and he came up and he like hugged me and he was like, see you later. And I was like, bye. Like if anyone was watching on the cameras, we'd lose our jobs. So anyway, I didn't text him that evening, so I was like, oh my God, I don't want him to lose his job. But then I texted him on the Sunday and I was like, you didn't come into work today. Where were you? Or something like that. And then we started texting and we were texting back and forth for about nearly a month. And it became quite intense. And when we'd go to work, like he'd come and speak to me and then we'd go like where the cameras weren't and we'd have like a bit of a chat and like a cuddle, not a kiss or anything like that. Anyway, so then I started, you know, getting like, this boy actually likes me, but we'd never been on a date because if we got seen somewhere, he could lose his job. So it was kind of something which, was it ever gonna be anything? No, it definitely wasn't. I didn't know what he actually wanted. Like to this day, I still don't get it. To this day, I still don't get it. I'm like, what were you trying to gain? Like, what were you actually trying to gain? He'd always give me like positive write-ups, but then all the male managers would give me positive write-ups, like good customer interaction, blah, blah, blah. Except the women just didn't like me. So then one of the women managers came up to me and she was like, I think Tristan has a little soft spot for you. And I was like, he doesn't. We just get on really well. Like he's like a brother to me. Like I just talk to him like my brother. I tell him all about my boy things and whatever. Because I was really trying to cover his backs. Anyway, they were like, yeah, all right. And I was like, And they were like laughing. They were like, be careful. He's not as vanilla as you think. And I was like, are they trying to annoy me? And I was like, because they didn't like me, I just literally didn't even look into it. But that is how one of the girls I spoke to, that was my friend from back home in Brighton, that also worked in the Hollister store in Regent Street, she described him as vanilla. And I was like, maybe I need a bit of vanilla in my life. They were like, vanilla, just quite plain, like quite standard, quite boring. I was like, I like vanilla. I was like, I'm about to get some vanilla bean for myself, you know, like I like vanilla. Turns out, he wasn't that vanilla. So then I went on a night out once with all the Hollister social and we were with this girl and I'd never seen her before or anything like that, but she was absolutely stunning, like unreal, beautiful, wow. And she was at like the pre-drinks thing and then we went to the club, we went to Maddox Club together and she was like, oh, you work with my boyfriend? I was like, oh, do I? I was like, oh, everyone's going out with each other. I was like, do you work there? And she was like, no, but my boyfriend does. He's a manager there. And my heart just went. I was like, oh, I know what's happening. Because basically where it had come to a point with Tristan is, Tristan basically said to me that he was going to take me out when he moved stores because he kind of could get away with it then. He could just basically say he doesn't really care, and I was leaving Hollister eventually. So he basically came to the agreement that we just kind of be close, but you know, hold hands at work and cuddle at work, like, are you all right? I was like, I just knew. When this girl said that, I was like, I just knew. You know when you just know? I'm a woman, we know. We have this intuition and we just know. I'm not a woman, I'm a girl. I don't even know what I am. I'm a girl, but I mean, as in like, I never feel grown up enough to be like, I'm a woman. I'm not a girl. I ain't a woman. All I need is... I'm obviously just joking, that's not how I sing, but anyway. Right, love that Britney song. Going off topic as per usual. I was like, oh, what's his name? And she was like, Tristan. And I was like, I was like, how long have you been with him for? And she was like, 3 years. I was like, right. She was like, we were actually just viewing flats together to move in together. And I was like, yeah. I was like, you poor girl, you poor girl. And I was like, do I tell her? So then I was like speaking to the other girl and I was like, and I basically went up to my friend that works at the Brighton Hollister and worked at the London Hollister and I was like, he's got a girlfriend and she's over there and she's unreal and he's a liar, a massive liar, like an habitual liar. So anyway, I start asking some of the other girls at Hollister and I'm like, what do you think of Tristan? And they're like, oh, he's so flirty, he's so nice. And I was like, does he text you? And they were like, oh, he tried to like a couple of times, yeah, blah, blah. And I was like, round of applause to this absolute W-A-N-K-E-R because he was a little liar, like a little liar, and like kept us all stum because he would be like, don't tell anyone, I'll lose my job. He was just getting with everyone basically, like spreading his seed, spreading his load. I mean, he didn't spread any seed or any load, trust me, like we didn't get any further than oh, maybe a kiss on the forehead or a kiss on the cheek, that was it. But with these other girls, he was sleeping around, and Imogen was basically telling everyone about him. I was telling everyone about him, and I was like, he ended up actually leaving that Hollister and going to another one, but I was like, does anyone know his girlfriend? And this girl did, so I was like, listen, I'm gonna tell the friend, because the friend can break, you know, the news to her, because it wasn't my place, like going up to her and being like, hi, I don't know you, but this is about it. But I told her friend, her really close friend, so she could tell her, just because I just feel like, wouldn't she rather know through her friend than, and if she wanted to talk to me, I would have spoken to her, but I don't know. Anyway, she stayed with him for a while after that, and then basically this new manager joined. This new manager, and she was the best thing in the world. She was the best thing in the whole world. She was the most amazing female manager, beautiful, amazing, loved her so much. And then he starts going out with her. And I was like, no. And he worked for Abercrombie at the time, and then started going out with her, and I was like, no. You're gonna break her heart. She's amazing, she's perfect. I should actually check on Instagram if they're still together, because they've been together for a long time now. Like, I think last time I checked, like 4 or 5 years. So I hope he's not hurting her, because she's just perfect. She's an amazing angel. I mean, no one's perfect, but she's just an amazing angel. That is the end of that story time. I do actually have a lot of other story times about that Hollister, which I can talk about, but I leave that Hollister and go to my next job, because I end up moving back to Brighton for the summer to save money. So my next job, oh my, you wait until you hear the audition story for that story time, like that interview story time. I actually told my fiance that story on like one of our 2nd or 3rd dates, and he found it captivating. So I can't wait to tell you about that. And it was a very serious full-time job which Imogen got herself into, so I can't wait to see you next Sunday and tell you all about that one. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely give it a thumbs up, make sure you smash that like button, join my family of Huns. I would be so grateful if you join my family of Huns, and click subscribe, because we have so much more content coming your way. I have so many fiance videos coming your way, like you don't understand. We've done some good videos, and I've got such good content, makeup, clothing, hauls, everything coming your way. Drive with me, the lot of it. So I can't wait to see you on Tuesday. I just feel so much. Until next time, I'm gonna love you and I'm gonna leave you. Yeah, okay. Sorry about the hair, sorry about the lipstick, but at least the lashes look on point. Yes, honey lashes, you know this. Okay, I love you all so much. Bye.